Hello, Professor Wallacord. This is my Chapter 14 summary over capacity and legality. So let's get started. The first part of Chapter 14 was about capacity, which basically is the ability to enter into a contract. The first part of that was talking about minors and how when you're under 18 years old, you're considered a minor and you're not of capacity, or you are of capacity, but you are able to exit a contract at any time. It's called disaffirmance when a minor is able to avoid the obligations of a contract. The example that the book gave was a 15-year-old girl went to a Marine Academy and she signed a waiver that said she was not going to sue them if she got hurt, and then when she did get hurt, she was able to sue them because she was able to back out of the contract, which is a good example of disaffirmance. Another thing that the book talked about was ratification, which is giving legal force to the obligation that previously wasn't enforceable. For example, it talked about selling a laptop. So when a person sold a laptop to a minor, the minor is able to ratify it by saying they will do so when they turn 18, when they become not a minor, or they're also able to, that's called expressly ratify, and then there's also to implied ratify by just taking possession of the laptop if I continue to use the laptop example. So that's a little bit of ratification and how that works. It also talked about intoxication and how basically intoxication is something that impairs your ability to reason well, and it most of the time when you enter into a contract when you're intoxicated, it is still enforceable, unless if you can prove that you lacked legal capacity to enter into a contract at the time, which the book talked about that there are very few exceptions to that happening. Another thing that the book talked about was mental incompetence. Basically, you are not mentally competent if a court has previously ruled that you are mentally incompetent. Other than that, it's very difficult to prove that. For example, it talked about a guy selling some stock to somebody else well below market value, and the guy did not understand the parts of the contract and what he was actually doing and the value of his shares. But yet the court found that he was of mental capacity, so the contract was valid and enforceable, therefore. And then the second half of the chapter talked about legality. Legality is basically if a contract is enforceable or not. And the main part of legality is that a contract is not enforceable if the activities involved are illegal or if they violate public policy. A good example that the book gave was talking about selling illegal drugs. So if you make a contract with somebody else that you're going to sell illegal drugs, that contract is not valid because selling drugs is illegal, so there is no legality in that contract. Another example that the book gave was usury. That's basically when you charge interest rates that are above the legal rate. So therefore, if you signed a loan or a contract agreeing to pay rates of interest above legal rates, then that contract is void. And that was about all that I had from Chapter 14. Have a great day, Professor.